As we all know, the 3 R's of the 20th century are reading, writing, arithmetic. But like a lot of things that we have discussed, this description of the 3 R's must also be changed for a future with AI. The 3 R's that are proposed for the 21st century, for a different world altogether, are reading, relationships, reflection. To speak more about this choice for the 3 R's, we would like to invite upon the stage Kavita Gupta Sabharwal.
Ms. Kavita Gupta is the founder and managing trustee of Neev. Prior to founding Neev, Ms. Kavita worked in corporate strategy and finance functions. She headed for one of India's largest publicly listed pharmaceutical firm. She holds a master's degree in biotechnology from Mumbai University, and she completed part of an MBA program at Harvard University. We invite you on stage, ma'am. Over to you.
Still good morning. So good to see everybody. I'm going to take you back in time, sort of. Someone spoke about the 30,000-foot view. I'll go back to the 3-foot view of a school. And I truly believe that teachers are going to be relevant for a long time to come. So this whole space of AI that we are worried about, AI is only a tool currently, and we are still trying to understand it. But there's a lot that is happening with technology, which we are contending with every day in schools. Richard Dawkins, in the 1970s, in his book, The Selfish Gene, spelt out genes and memes as means of propagation. One propagates genes, the genetic code. The other one propagates cultural, it transmits cultural. It transmits ideas. It creates imitation. This is what we are contending with in schools. The pandemic brought home the reality of digital culture. This was legitimized by the ever-present devices and Zoom. Along with the good came the bad. But what came here is not new. It's always been there. Genes we know transmit biologically. Memes, Dawkins said, are a unit of cultural transmission and of imitation. The genes of Socrates and Einstein might have been diluted in the common pool today, but their meme complexes live on. More recently, Dawkins spoke about the fact that the term meme that he coined originally has been hijacked by the internet. The brevity of Twitter, the negativity of TikTok and Snapchat, human creativity hijacked by TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. AI truly is only a tool, one that we still are understanding. So screens have created damage, screaming screens. Memes are what exist in our children today. All that survives is the clicks. And that's what our kids see often. And what they see often becomes their reality. What are the memes that survive? What do they lead our children, therefore, to imitate? Those are comments from mostly a grade 8 classroom, but also grade 10, and one from grade 4 last year in circle time. And that's scary when you look at all of that, because children believe this to be their reality. What they are seeing as a reflected reality on the internet, they believe to be their perceived reality. I come from a background of science, and that has always led me to think logic, very left brain. I always see logic, causality as a solution. But the only antidote to all of this is humanity, which is messy and it is irrational. One of the birth defects of modern economics has been the assumption of human rationality. Amos Tversky, the intellectual partner of Daniel Kahneman, who would have shared the Nobel if he hadn't died earlier, used to tell his colleagues at Stanford, "You teach AI while I teach natural stupidity." What is the student behavior we see in our classrooms today? It's true, and many of you as school heads or educators will relate to this. What influences this behavior? Are teachers changing? These are the responses I've heard from teachers, not just at Neev, but also in many other places. It's someone else's job. I don't have the time. I don't know how to do it. Curriculum won't finish. They're okay in my class. Parents are the problem. Next gen is the problem. Why are teachers assuming they can just go on teaching out in the old ways when children have many options today that they didn't earlier? Human beings are irrational, but human beings are also powerful. To get kids to achieve their potential, we need to develop motivation. And that is what leads to the right habits, the attitudes, and capability that our children need to deal with a world of AI. They need to rise beyond it. Increasing the pressure on disengaged students is from the outside. Genuine motivation does not come from that. It comes from the inside. And that needs to be nurtured the hard way. Alan McLean, in his book, The Motivated School, talks about how important students' motivational mindsets are and how they can be influenced to learn the right way. He shows how to build or create successful learning contexts with real-life suggestions for teachers to work with disengaged learners, creating intrinsic motivation. In his model, he talks about chaos and loneliness as the greatest fears. What are students looking for? Empowerment and acceptance are the only solution. How can we build classroom cultures for this? Our solution has to begin with 3 R's which are relevant for the age of wisdom. And I want to call it the age of wisdom, not the age of AI. One of them is the same, reading, but that changes in this age. A quick look at what do students think the solutions are. And these are, again, comments from grade 4, grade 5, grade 8, grade 10. What makes you feel like you're an important part of the classroom? Children recognize one of the R's very clearly: relationships. Where do relationships get built is the hard thing. What do the words unfair and fair mean to you? How do you think you can proactively create a more fair classroom and community? Again, student comments. Kids know the right thing. I love that second last one, recognizing teachers' effort. I love the one above that, except when something is fair instead of calling it unfair, as kids often do. Work coming up, unfair. Extra task coming up because you guys have not gotten there, unfair. How do you, and kids recognize that they are being unfair when they say that. They recognize that the class is a system. It's a social environment, but every part of it needs to be stronger. How do you do it? Build relationships. An echo chamber is not relationships. Our kids live that hive mind around them, and that's not relationships. Just because they are agreeing to go along with everyone is not relationships. Building a classroom culture with intrinsic motivation and so much else that goes with that, empowerment, acceptance. Where do you do it? All of those places. How do you do it? Connecting inside, but also connecting outside, relationships within the self and outside. How do you surface beliefs and develop the best self? By examining those beliefs, by testing those beliefs between students, between students and teachers as well. By bringing in identity. I was at Harvard Graduate School in 2008 or 9 at the Summer Institute, where there was a fabulous speaker and she spoke about how half of the brain is really about identity and culture. And I had to ask her the question, because what we often do in Indian schools is we leave all of that out. We are so busy focused on grades, right? So I had to ask her the question, what happens if you leave that out? Her response was, it's not a human anymore. What are we doing today? Bring identity, build trust, teach children to trust each other, to support each other, get them to trust people, to support people, and through that, see their best selves. Build community, go beyond the school. Is there a connection between relationships and resilience? Is that something that leads to motivation? So relationships with all those entities. Positive messages all the time. That's our graduating cohort of the current, just year gone past. And that message on their back is a positive message about giving back. So put the positive messages about identity, about relationships, everywhere you possibly can. Houses, culture between them, encourage that. Build reflection, the second R. Recount is not reflection. This is hard to do. When? Again, some of the same experiences as the relationships. How? Many ways, including circle time, but beyond that. It's when you get children to write their reflections and to get from not just the what, the recount, but to the so what and next what, is when you start to understand children. Authenticity, self-authorship, and that comes only with vulnerability. Are our kids comfortable being vulnerable? They are busy putting up a facade in front of the world of being completely in control. When does that switch? I think somewhere around grade 4 is when it starts to switch. Question, is there a connection between self-awareness and resilience, just like relationships and resilience? Is that what leads children to take up new challenges and build new skills? That's a reflection. I'll just give you 15 seconds to read that reflection. Show of hands, done? Our learning journey partner saw that. Good going, Redwood. Yes, he was on that trip with us. When I grow up, I want to be a chapati maker. And that child was not a Sikh or even a Hindu. He was a Christian child. There's a lot that we can do to build emotionally connected classrooms. Classrooms which go beyond the school, beyond into life, with relationships and reflection. And those are just some of the things that we can do. Build trust, autonomy, which leads to motivation, which leads to creativity. The last R, building reading. I'll skip a little bit, 1 minute. When we are known as the reading school, we do a children's literature festival, but we do a lot inside the school for building reading as well. And that is what makes us successful. 50% of our children are avid readers, and that's huge. When? In all of those places. How? By building community around reading. That's the new bus message we are going to have. This needs cognitive patience. And that leads me again to a question, is there a connectivity between the 3 R's and resilience? This year, our reading challenge exploded. From 96 teams last year, we got 605 competitive teams. Thank you. Has it reached a tipping point? And that's the last slide. One of the birth defects of modern economics can be replaced by what is the rational behavior which has existed over a long period of time. Einstein gave a question paper to his students at Princeton. After 5 minutes, they looked very confused. So he asked them what was the matter. They said, "Sir, this is last year's paper. The questions are all the same." Einstein smiled and said, "Don't worry, the answers are different." We are at that point in education where the questions haven't changed, not even with the AI. AI is just a tool. Let's find new answers together. Thank you.